Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's doing great. Let's see, let's get that there. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Keisha. Hey, Cookie. Who else did I see? I saw, let's pull the chat up over here. Y'all, y'all ready for a conversation today? I had to close down the internet. I had to shut it off. So much going on in the world today. And then I asked myself a question. Hey, Carla. I asked myself a question. I said, why did I even cut the laptop on? And then I had to answer. My answer was, well, you left it on from this morning, when you were over PMR studio this morning, and you just kind of left it on. Because something caught my attention. Like it arrested me. And I had to really, really pay attention as to what it was, right? So that's how I got stuck. Got stuck. I hope everybody's enjoying their day. It's Monday. I am one granddaughter short. It's the one that helped with the dog. So Mr. McCoy is probably missing her. I'm missing her being in the studio. My glue isn't missing her though. That girl can use some glue. Um, can show y'all that thing. I don't know. Oh, anybody on here, tell me what the best way is to get glue off of a mat. Just drop it in the chat without me having to get a scraper and scrape it, because that's going to be the next. Or it's so much glue on it, I'm just like, I'll just cover it up or something. I don't know, but it's plenty glue. So tell me, what's the best way to get rid of glue off a mat? It's a mat like this. So I want it glue free. I don't know why in the world I didn't just put down brown paper. That's what I did last year. Put down brown paper. Well, last year I don't think she did glue like she did this year. I don't know. But anyways, didn't want to stop her from having fun. So until she got to have the glue, until the glue ran out. Once the glue ran out, I did not re up the glue. Sure didn't. But I made sure. Oh, acetone. Oh, okay, acetone. So I have to try. I got some acetone. I have some acetone. Hand sanitizer. Yo, it's on there thick. Hi, Mariah. I enjoyed your book this morning. So much so that I said I was going to take some papers, some of my arty watercolor things, and I think I'm going to make little, use they're going to already have paint paper. They're already going to be painted. So I'm going to cut this up and construct it, turn it, this and a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so yesterday was Father's Day. I hope everybody that celebrates Father's Day had, your hubby, father had a good day. I had a moment. My dad's been gone 26 years now, and I will tell you, it doesn't change. Grief hits you and it makes you realize. So my father-in-law is in the hospital. He had his second toe to toe left next to the big toe on his right foot amputated on Saturday. There's no blood flow. Blood is very important to the body. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on this weekend. So yesterday, Mr. McCoy and I kind of hung out. We're supposed to be going to do one thing, um, go to breakfast, hung out, go to Lowe's, and then we ended up going to Harbor Freight. And then we ended up getting me two more tool chests. Two more. I got Yukon. I'm gonna put my video up, do a video, so maybe we can get some sponsorship by Yukon, because I now have four toolboxes in my studio, and they are amazing. Now Lowe's does have the toolboxes. They are by Cobalt. Is it Cobalt? Cobalt. Yeah, they're by Cobalt, but they're $100 more. So I got mine from Harbor Freight by Yukon, 100 and actually $30 cheaper. Just saying. But it was Father's Day deal, and that's why I got them yesterday, because the sale went off yesterday, and some boys like, whoa, might as well go and get it. And I was just like, yeah, but I don't want red. That looks too boxish, right? So let me see. I'm gonna do Probably a walk through the studio, but let me show you. I did took pictures. So this is what the wall looked like. And I took off this long table that I had right there. So it's no longer there. That's the big old window that sits over there. Right. So now let's see, which way do I go? That way. No, that way. Look, I don't know. Gotta hold it back up and go the right way. Be done. So that's what the wall looks like now. It houses everything that I use every day. I did move this because my cutter needed more lip space. So I had to move that. Now my Cricut is there. That's my scan and cut. So my Cricut is right there, my scan and cut, my Epson EcoTank printer, and then my HP printer that it prints out fast, regular stuff. And these drawers have replaced, I got rid of 4 plastic bins, and now the stuff is now inside here. And it's very, very nice over there. Like very, very clean, has clean lines, and I'm all about clean lines. So that's what I did. And so we got those yesterday, and I emptied off 2 carts. So Mr. McCoy said, "Were you going to make room for more stuff?" I was like, "Nope. We're going to downsize. We're going to get rid of a lot of stuff because I'm a mixed media artist, but I'm a very strategic mixed media artist. I don't do all things, but I do enough that the things that I do, they marry well. They do. They marry very, very well. Um, let's see. Zal, I didn't see you. No, I didn't. There you go. Let me see. Was you up there? Yep, you sure was. My bad. So, hi, Carla. Hey, Zal. Zal, I ain't got coffee. I got water. Okay, we're going to slap some hand sanitizer on there this evening. So, I'm going to do that. Hi, Ann Webb. How are you? Who else I missed? I got Carla. I saw Jennifer. I don't want to be missing nobody, y'all. I realized, so my viewership has gone down. Um, and YouTube was so graciously to tell me why it's gone down. It's like, hey, you don't have thumbnails. You might want to put up your thumbnails for next month. Let people know. It's like, oh, okay. Because, June was just going to be fun. And I started putting my thumbnails up, and then remember life happened and I never went back. So I just put these two up like yesterday, I think. Yeah, I think yesterday when I was looking at PMR Studio, I was in the deep, deep balcony yesterday. I didn't even say anything. So, but we're trying to continue to hone in on the joy, to create the joy. And I've been continuing doing core value work. If you were here Wednesday, I over delivered, as a matter of fact. That core value journal, it turned into like a journal. Like before I knew it, it took what I did for my 30-day journal and kind of, expounded on it. I'm not mad at it. Now, today, I'm going to kind of, y'all hit those thumbs ups to let everybody know we here. I'm here. I'm back. Going into July, we're going to be here every day in July for what? World Watercolor Month. So I said I was going to slap some paint on some paper. I was trying to decide if I want to do gel printing or if I was going to do watercolor. I still hadn't decided, but I got my stuff. Everything is out. But listen, y'all, check this out. I had to do a P. I had to do some notes. I had to do some thoughting. I had to do some notes because call was great Saturday. I was sitting over here screaming in the studio, just like, Miss McCoy, just like everybody was like, good. I was like, I'm good. Because I took and met my daughter to drop off my granddaughter Saturday. And so when I got back home just in time to pull up call. And so I needed to go. I had to have a conversation with one of my leadership people. It's like, hey, I need to say some things. I got some things I need to say. I need to know how far off of this cliff can I go before I fall off, or before I put my foot in my own mouth, or I don't need to mess up my money. That's basically what I was saying. But I do have a platform, and I do have a voice, and I do have lungs that I do know how to scream to the top of my studio and go outside and scream. And if I have to, I know how to say stuff to people without having to be rude and disrespectful, which also pisses them off because they also expect me when they see me walk in the room, especially if I look a little or farmish or whatever. And then I open my mouth and then they're like, oh, one of them. I'm like, excuse me? That mean? I know what it means, but sometimes I like to hear them say it. So, as we're going, I'm going to do watercolor because it's easier for me to talk and paint because I don't have to pay attention. Gel printing, I have to pay attention a little bit. And I got some stuff on some gel plates that I need to put. See, I need to put some stuff on. Yeah, look at that. I need to do something with it. I need to put a pull color or put some more something else over it. I don't know. Hadn't decided. I've been working on it now for about 4 days. Don't know. And cleaning some gel plates. My 16 by 20 is clean. All my plates are almost clean. So, but yeah, let's slap some paint on some paper. Hey, Bernadette. I need to watch Call Replay. Still, it's on my list for tomorrow. You'll enjoy it. You will enjoy it. It was very interesting. Um, I feel like look, I'm finna do a Krista. I feel like me and Mariah. But that's the way that Krista said. She's like me and Mariah. We down like babies in pacifier. She cannot talk about Mariah without saying the whole thing. And then she's like, what she said, what she said. But I feel like we gotta have a conversation about the other America. So we're gonna be talking about today. So the grief artist today, Monday fun in the studio with watercolor and an emotional chat because this was very emotional to me. I felt like I needed to have a conversation with my grandmothers, like both of them, because both of my grandmothers are almost 100 years old. So to see where this world is right now, it is like my one grandmother said. She's just like, I don't know if I'd rather be on the other side of the track. And I'm just like, well, what does that mean? And she's like, you just keep thinking about it and you'll figure it out. So she didn't tell me, I figured it out. So here in Alabama, here in where my little hometown is, they really, let me see how I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna say it. They flooded out a community. They flooded out not a community, they flooded out a black community, right? So here in Alabama, you follow kind of sits right here. Let's do this. Let me use my paint. We're gonna arty and chat and do a whole bunch of things. So this right here is one side. It's one side. Y'all gonna like when I'm do this if it work out the way I'm doing it. And then we got this side over here. Put some water on it because we don't like to waste paint. And welcome to Monday's conversation with the grief artist, who is me, your host, Karen McCoy. Right? I'm going to try my best not to scroll and jump all over the place. I'm going to try. But as you can see, my notes they were all over the place, like even on the back. They're all over the place a little bit. But I'm going to try my best to stay and hone in on what. But I need to lay this foundation first. And then we're going to go for there. Okay, this is a city, this is a town, and this is a town. And then we got to do a slither. If you know anything about the Chattahoochee River, it's a channel that kind of goes all the way down through Alabama and Georgia. But it's a very slither channel, right? This side, let's call this here Georgia. Georgia. That's gonna mess up my pen. Not so hard. It's got my right on this paper. And this is Alabama. Yeah, let me change pens. That's my calligraphy pen. It is not meant to be so abused. Uh, Alabama. Roll Tide. Okay. Got that, right? Okay. Anybody else came in? Hey, Alicia, Devil Dog. How are you? I do like them pinky hands. Congrats on being double figure, Carla. You have a special crown for that. Carla, what you got? Let me go. I'm thumbs up. I'm 10. Oh, you're 10. And is. Carla, you feeling better? Is that all that anesthesia gone? Okay. So let's do this. So we got Georgia and you got Alabama and y'all got that's a river. I don't have to put the river at this water. It's a body of water. Right there, right? Okay. I live over here. Most of my family lived over here. My dad was born like right here. These are little houses. Let's do little houses. Let's do little houses. 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 Them some bad houses, y'all. I'm not here for that arty. We're just here to get the point, okay? Houses, houses, all the things. Right there. Right? Right there. Right there. Okay? Right there. All these. Keep in mind, houses. Need really to hone in on this. Houses, underwater houses, all over their houses, all that. Okay. But more so, we're talking about right here and right here. This right here, houses, we call the bluff, right? Okay. You go out here, we call this Rocky Mount Road, which was farming. Y'all walk with me. Don't get weary now. Walk with me. This is all the farmers, all my farmers, black farmers, my family out there. Okay. Over maybe 12, 13, maybe over 2,000 acres of just black farmers out there. Okay, right here. See how small this literal water body. Now, if you want to look this up, you follow. You got to spell it right. EUFAU, Alabama. Now you ain't gonna find what I'm talking about in the story in the books. It's not in the books. I happen to have two grandparents that are almost 100 years old. I was alive for my great grandmother, my great great grandmother. So I've sat at the feet of the people who lived here, who had babies here. Okay. The powers that be came in and said they wanted to make a landmass. If anybody ever knows anything about Eufaula, they know about Lake Eufaula and fishing. Fishing here. Best bass. We're number one bass in the country. That ain't my claim to fame. Okay. Just ain't it ain't. Because of what happened. And I've sat and hadn't really said much, but as we talk about some things, I had to answer a question for myself. And the question was, how did we get here? How did I get here? Why did my grandmother say it would be, at this point I'm trying to figure out if it'd just be better to live across the tracks. This is across the tracks. Water body, right? Okay. Powers that be came along in whatever time it was. I did have that wrote down, but I threw that piece of paper away because I didn't care. I'm not giving their history, their information. I'm giving you mine. Came along and opened the dams. There's some dams that they put up that held back this water because the Chattahoochee River, remember, it runs top to bottom. It runs through. It's a good body of water. They opened up the dam. Now, told these people they needed to move, need to get out. So my family either went to Alabama or they stayed in Georgetown, moved more inward off of this body of water. Because it's still trees out here to this day where these trees is out here. Now, this body of water, where my paint? Come on back, paint. They open up the floodgates. Now, this body of water, them houses ain't there no more. Foundations are still there under there. Foundations still there, right? But now you flood out, even over here. So now you got water property over here. A lot of people couldn't afford what they were paying, so they had to move more inward. Now they're over here. Thank God most of them have bought this property back and they're on the water now. But there it is. Now you have what we call around these parts. Oh, not that pen, Karen. Pen down. Lake Eufaula. People had to give up their homes so that anybody that wants to come here and say that they love Lake Eufaula, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but there is at a cost. There was a cost. Okay, so and then these people either went over here and now farm in Georgia, or these people went more out here to share crop because we got to work for somebody. Somebody got to make some money. We got to do it right. Somebody got to have a lifestyle. We got to, but we're still segregated. This is way back before, you know, uh, let's see, let's say like late 50s. In the 50s, around that time, we're getting to do more of the what's that thing called? Civil rights. But in the meantime, they're out here. They're having they had to work, sell, come in, sell, right? Because you gotta have some things. Now, I gave you this little tutorial of my little hometown, how they flooded out, because that's real facts here. And we also had a massacre here. They want to say it happened in Clio, but it happened in Eufaula, right up there where they got some things. So I had to own where I live, right? Had to own it. I had to own it. I'm gonna take this and make it look beautiful. I'm not gonna waste my paper. So I had to own it because I was doing some things. I was doing some things. And I had to, y'all know when I tell you, when I ask myself some questions, I got to get some answers. We got to have some answers. And in the conversation with my grandma, she said something about, way back when, Martin Luther King at this point now is coming here, having, they're speaking at churches, family members that are living in Atlanta, now we're having these conversations because I ask questions. It's just like, wait a minute. So y'all young enough to have been here for this and that and whatever. So yeah, the other America. I want to know about the other America. Okay. If you know about the other America, if you ever heard the term the other America, put it in the chat that you did and then walk with me. Because it's right where it is right freaking where we are now in this world. You hear what I'm saying? This is why core values was very important. The core values that I was talking about when I was talking about is very important. So today's conversation is about how we live in the world in a world full of opinions, but not enough listening. It is about how many people can start feeling superior to others who do not line up with their own ideals, their own beliefs, their own values in their own lives, their own politics, their faith, their lifestyle, their faith. They use their faith to condemn other people, right? We're going to talk about the other America. Now my dog wants to come in the studio. Eddie, I know. See, it's going. Eddie, somehow I know because your mother was an educator. Somehow I just knew you did. Let me let the puppy in because I know he hot. 'Cause it's hot. Sit down. Don't play. Okay. So my grandma was telling me about the conversation. We didn't have an in-depth conversation because my grandmother is the type, one of my grandmothers is the type that will talk about all things, and the other one is the type that will give me a little bit and then want me to, be a little bit more mindful to speak out, I mean, seek out things, knowledge for myself. So, you usually keep it more when you seek it out for yourself. So I was like, well, okay, but I never heard it. Never heard. But then, remember I told y'all I felt like there was a point in time. I just thought we had all arrived and we were just lovey-dovey and just everybody was just kumbaya. And then, of course, when Obama went for went for president, then I realized how many people just really hated, like hated. They didn't want to say black people, but they hated the fact that he was not only the president for 1 year, one time, but then he won again. So, but he was a president that was just will always be for his coolness. And to me he'll always be my forever president. I'm just saying. I just never seen a man and a woman carry themselves in public and have people talk about them the way that they continue to talk about them. And y'all know when I say them, y'all know what I'm talking about. I just feel like we just shouldn't be so mean. It just hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart. Like to go back and listen to my grandma talk about the way the floods and how that happened. And You know how people move. That's how my family went to went to Chicago because they didn't have anything else. It's just like once you lose what you lose, you got to go somewhere and then find a job. Because if you wanted to be an entrepreneur, as what they call it now, then you definitely didn't do that really around here. You had to be, because it was Jim Crow states. I'm in Alabama, so you couldn't do all the things. And you had sundown towns around here. If you don't know what sundown is, ask in the chat and they'll tell you in the chat. I'm not here to entertain you on that one. Because I just think a lot of this stuff, it just makes me angry, which is why I usually don't go down here. But for whatever reason, the Lord woke me up this morning and just like, the other America people need to hear, because now the other America is, we're living it out right now. We're living it out right now. Right now. Right. And so it's just things. Hey, Judy. They're mean because they could never be. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So, so today let's have a little bit of a light conversation as we turn, because things that happen, we good do come out of bad things. Let me say that. Good do come out of bad things. It took me a long time to say that out of my mouth, because losing two children, I had to acknowledge good do come out of bad things. Here I am on a whole YouTube channel, so something good has come out of all of the pain that I've experienced, to show you how that you can continue to create joy in your life. So good things do come out of bad things. But today we are not having a light conversation. We're having a necessary one, right? Because we're living in a world, like I said, everybody has an opinion. Y'all know what I say about opinions, right? Okay. Everybody has something to say. Everybody has comment. Everybody has a post, because we're in when we're in everybody got a phone. Everybody can video and come up to you and feel like, at this point in time, this administration making people feel like they froggish and they just jumping around. Everybody has a reaction to it. And, I'm going to try to be very tactful with some things, but everybody has a side. And I want this to be inclusive of the good and the bad, because it is. It's not just my opinion, but I do have one. And sometimes I try to keep it to myself, because sometimes I just don't want to be combative with people that don't want to have an intellectual conversation. I'm all about having intellectual conversation. If we're not going to talk about it, I tell you that I have my way and then you have your way, and be like, well, let's see if we can get together and, on that. Maybe. But everybody has a truth they believe everybody else needs to hear, is my point. So, but here's a question I want to start out really. Hey, Nancy Lee. I'll start out with this question. Are we actually listening, or are we just waiting for our turn to respond? Because I always tell Mr. McCoy, he's like, you're a great listener. And then I had to realize over the years, he is not actually a good listener. He just listens well. A good listener doesn't listen to respond. A good listener listens and then kind of takes on whether they can either empathize with you, sympathize with you, or get angry. Some emotions gonna happen, but usually, are you listening? Because there's a difference. There's a difference between hearing someone and listening to someone. Okay. There's a difference between having values and feeling superior. Okay. There's a difference between standing firm in what you believe and looking down on people who do not see life the way that you do. I like watercolor. Some people like acrylic painting. Doesn't make us any different. Like, I'm using art as the simple, but I like living in the country. Everybody don't want to live in the country, the rural country, right? That doesn't make us wrong for each other. It just means that we know what we like. We know our value. We know, and it's not to be defensive. It's not for me to perform greater than them either. I'm not trying to prove we are most healed, we are most spiritual, or most educated, most aware, right? We're not even trying. I'm not even me. I'm speaking for me. We're over here in Create Joy Studio. I'm not even trying to figure out who's most enlightened. Just honest. Because sometimes our opinions are not as wise as we think they are. Sometimes our opinions are shaped by our pain. That's why I think everybody needs to kind of have a healing journey so that they can speak out of their place of healing and not from their place of pain, right? A lot of us right now, we mad as hell because of, what's going on. And I think we're more mad at how he responds and how he does things or whatever. I don't know, nor do I care, right? I don't. But for each of you, the pain point, it might be different. We might come together on one or two things that's happening in the world right now, and or we might not come together on any. It could be, age difference, color, gender, all of the things. Like there's different things. I think me as a black woman, a black female, educated black woman, I tend to kind of stand a little bit strong, and that's because my resilience has shaped me, who I am. I've stood on the shoulders of ancestors that had no other choice but to survive. So therefore it's ingrained, it's embedded in me. It's kind of like my grandma was like, you stronger than that. You know better than that. And when she said, I feel it like deep down in my soul. So it's like, okay, don't let what's going on in this world get to you. You know how to go out and plant some foods. You know how to do what you need to do to take care of you. You know how to go and get some chickens, some cows. You can take care of you. You might not eat steak all the time, but you will never go hungry. And then she goes back and she'll say, I've never seen the righteous forsaken. Oh, we gotta go. Okay, we gotta go back there. Because that's our foundation. That's their roots. That's what it was embedded in me. I've never seen the righteous forsaken. His seed begging for bread. That's Bible. Okay. So when you look at sometimes when things are shaped by fear, you know, sometimes that's why I told y'all I have to stop looking at stuff online. It's like it would just drive me up a daggum wall. Can't watch it, can't look at it. Sometimes things can be shaped by what we're taught and we never question. Remember, we're talking about core values. What do you value? How do you feel about what they said? And now I'm questioning the church folk left and right. I'll be like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. That's not what that says in the Bible. What that got to do with anything? I don't understand. So let's talk about it. And most of the time, they don't want to have that conversation. Because why? I'm questioning something they've never questioned. Sometimes these things can be shaped by environment. Sometimes they're shaped by America because we have personally experienced some of these things. So this is where I want to bring in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, The Other America. I don't know where I was. And then I had to go and backed up and thought about some things. I was like, oh, that's what it was called? I didn't realize the speech was called The Other America. So, I did some things and put it in and came up. I love listening to Don Lemon. But then Don Lemon had on his show, he had Brian Allen. Y'all know Brian Allen, the comedian, right? Do y'all know who Brian Allen is? Like, do y'all know what kind of powerful black man that man is, right? They couldn't stop Brian Allen from coming up with his media group because they couldn't get him like they did what P. Diddy and Bill Cosby because they ain't have no dirt on him. Money talks, BS walks. That's the bottom line. The other America. The economic inclusion. The other America. Okay. So I'm gonna I'm gonna give it to you based on um the speech that was given at Stanford, and I think it was before I was born, so 1963, 64. The title alone should make you pause. The Other America, okay? Um, Not the America you see from your front porch, right? Not the America you know from your paycheck. Not even the America you understand from your neighborhood, not the America you experience through your family, your church, your school, your job, your comfort, or your opportunities. The other America. The America somebody else is living in while you may be living in a completely different reality. And here, check this out. And here is where it gets a little bit uncomfortable. Walk with me, children. Don't get weary now. We say they should know better. They should work harder. They should stop complaining. They should make better choices with their life. They should be a little bit more responsible. This is the one we've been getting a lot. They should just move, go back to Africa. They should just get over it. They should just pray more. Oh, just get over it. Just forgive and move on. Just heal already, right? But what if we have not listened long enough to know what they are really carrying, right? What if their America has not looked like ours? What if their access has not looked like ours? What if their pain has been ignored? What if their anger is not rebellion, but exhaustion, just tired? What if their opinion is not just an opinion, but the language of an experience we have never lived? That's the conversation I'm going to talk about today. Not to make anybody feel guilty, not to make us even argue, not to make us choose a political side either, but just ask a deeper question, but to ask us to become so that we can become deeper people, more humble, right? More compassionate, more mature, right? Because we're over here trying to learn. We're doing emotional intelligence and honing in our core values. So we need to kind of, everyone has an opinion, but not everybody has wisdom. No one can talk and talk my life better than me. They can tell me I need to do all the things. They could, like I said, they should, these are all the they things that I heard. I should have made better choices. I became a young mother. You should have made better choices. You should work harder. You should really get over it, because there's not going to be an apology. So what do you want? Right? So it was just one of the things. I was just like, well, everybody has their opinion, everybody has a voice, but not everybody has self-control. Everybody can react, but not everybody can listen. Everybody can talk about what is wrong with the world, but not everybody is willing to look at what is wrong in their own heart. Yeah, we can talk about it all day long. We already listen at a person who has the highest power in the land. We already look at how he throws, I'm gonna call it a tantrum sometimes, because for Juneteenth, for the President Obama and Michelle to open up one of the most beautiful, powerful things this past weekend. That meant he needed to jump out there on the Twitter or whatever they're calling it now, and get out there and be in front. Don't listen to that, and talk about things, and just rude. That's not what I'm talking about. But today we're going to talk about the other America, right? We're going to talk about economic inclusion. Hmm. Hmm. Economic inclusion. Okay. I want y'all to take some little notes, what have you, and then go on later on and then do your research. Because see, these days in time, you don't have to take me at my word. You learn for yourself so that you can go and have these very powerful conversations and ask very, very powerful questions, right? The other America. We're going to talk about why the internet has made everybody's opinion a little louder. We're going to talk about how our ideals can make us feel superior, right? Listening as spiritual discipline. We're going to talk about how to hold our values without using them as weapons. So I want you to put this in the chat. I can listen without losing myself. That's if you feel so inclined. I just want to see how many, if you're here, because this is a listening thing while I paint these, turn this into something beautiful. Because remember, even through the tragedy of what happened, beauty is still I mean, going across the bridge right now where this is, it's actually one of my favorite coming and goings from Georgia to Alabama. It's actually a beautiful spot, but I can't look at it without saying that I had family that, lost. Not everybody lost something over there. Nor that there's some people they don't even care. Okay? Excuse me. So let me tell you what this conversation matters to me is because we're living in an overloaded world. We have information overload, we have opinion overload, emotional overload, even spiritual overload. God knows we got social media overload. The news is even overloaded with clickbait. It's not even real news anymore to give you good stuff. It's just click stuff just to get you the ratings. Then we got family drama overload because things are happening and families are being torn apart by this stuff. And then, Lord knows, the last one, we got political overload. Everybody is being pulled in 1,000 directions. Everybody is talking, but is anybody listening? And because of the internet, we are no longer just dealing with the opinions of people in our homes, our churches, or on our jobs, or the people that live next door to us. Now we're dealing with the opinions of strangers across the world. We are going combative with people in the chat. We're going combative with people in postings. Like we're getting pissed off with somebody that's we'll probably never meet. I live in Alabama. They probably live in California, but they want to come over here and say something on my page. All I say is, bless your heart, right? People we do not know. People I probably don't even share their values. People who may not even share my life experiences, or we don't. People who may be speaking from their pain, maybe their anger, their fear, their ego, their trauma, or their ignorance. Why? Because I've been there, done that. I mean, like today, I'm totally speaking from my pain. This is a pain point conversation, right? And still, their voices can enter our homes through a little screen. I'm coming through y'all, talking to y'all through either y'all on your phone. Carla usually have me on the big screen, got me on laptop. However you have me, that's how you're hearing me. That is a powerful thing. And then when you pay attention to how many people watch your videos, watch your lives, watch your shorts, those are people that you are influencing. So if we're not careful, we start believing that every opinion deserves our emotional response. And it does not, and don't. Every post does not need you to comment on it. Every argument does not need your energy. Every hot take does not need your correction. Every disagreement does not require you to defend yourself. You're the best thing that God woke up this morning. And is don't be arguing with the little turtles of the world. Every person who sees life differently from you is not your enemy. Some of the best people are people who disagree. I think the best thing was for me one time when I dated this young man, and it's a long time ago, long time ago. But his views was not my views. But we were the best of friends because we had some good conversations. I didn't judge him, and he didn't judge me. At the time I would have cared, but now looking back on it, just like, God, I'm glad that went the way it did. But it also let me know, and it taught me that I can be friends with people that disagree. So that's why I be trying to tell people. My daughter always tell me, you just want to be right. You just want to be right. I was like, no, I don't always want to be right. I can't help because sometimes I end up being right, but I'm not trying to be right. I just like to have engaging conversations, right? I'm not trying to start confusion, difference, and then that leads to anger. Very dangerous. We start confusing things. But I don't want to start confusing our opinions with what some people consider their Bible or the absolute truth. No, we start believing that because we have strong ideals, everybody who does not line up with those ideals must be beneath us. And that's not true. That is where the person kind of the superiority sneaks in. It does not always walk in real loud. It kind of, yeah, you're right, a little bit. Sometimes superiority sounds like spiritual, you know. Sometimes it sounds very educated. Sometimes maybe, you're talking about it and it sounds like you're kind of correct somebody, morally correcting them, right? Sounds like you're putting up boundaries. Sounds like discernment. Sometimes it sounds like I'm just protecting my peace. I'm speaking for me over here. I'm just trying to give y'all a little bit of my pain point about the other America. But we need to ask ourselves, am I protecting my peace or am I avoiding people who are challenging me? There's nothing wrong with a good challenge. See how I took that and we turned that into something great? I'm not going to do that over there. I like that over there. But even in bad times, good things happen. A lot of people lost their lives during the civil rights, during the fight for equality for Black people, for all people. Most people want to put civil rights on Black people, and I believe it was, when you look at it, it was all people. It wasn't just Black people. They took it and put it Martin Luther King. Okay, well, you represent all people, right? That's where wisdom comes in. That's where a good challenge comes in with a conversation. And then it's like, am I protecting my peace? Yeah, most of the time I am protecting my peace, but I'm here for a good challenge. Challenge me, right? I'm standing in truth, right? I'm usually walking in my own wisdom, but my wisdom and your wisdom get together. That's why I think P and I'll have great conversations, because I got little young wisdom and she got older wisdom, and I think we get together and be like, well, oh, okay. I think it would have to be private because neither one of us would want to be let people know just how much we probably was thinking outside of boxes or inside boxes. Because sometimes I have learned that I have closed off because I want my peace and I don't want to indulge with the people, especially right now. I'm not scared, but I just don't want to indulge with people who only see things from one vernacular. They don't see it as what they're doing is wrong. They don't see that you shoot somebody in the back running away from you as wrong, and the person that did it gets away with. They don't see anything wrong with that. I personally find a problem. There's a problem with it. I mean, how are we doing this? I don't know, but that's not my battle. That's not my fight right now. So, but that's how we came up, got down this rabbit hole, the other America. Okay, because that part of the America wasn't meant. The other America. Okay, so somebody might be like, the other America. What are you talking about? The other America. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech and he called it the other America. The speech matters because King was not simply talking about the dream, which came after the other America. He was talking about the reality. He was saying, in essence, there is an America that works beautifully for some people, right? And there's another America where people are trapped in poverty, poor housing, unequally schools that don't have the right books, or schools that don't have all the tools, discrimination, low wages. You know, you do the same job, but you get paid less. So it keeps you low. And the opportunities, jobs were not for everybody. Then when we came up with this thing that what was that thing called? Oh God. Oh Lord. Oh, can't think of it. Y'all know what it is. Put it in chat. But where you had to have so many of this, so many women, so many blacks, so many whites, so many Hispanics. That one, that's what I'm talking about. Then they want to say, okay, the other America was trying to, we're trying to get it to where it's not two. It should be one America, but it's the other America, right? You know where you fit in, depending on where you were, where you were in life. I don't know, right? There is because when you look at it, if you lived in poverty, because remember I said something earlier about, they said you should have made better choices, you should have tried harder, whatever. That means if you're in poverty, you're in poor housing, you well, not well, yeah, discrimination, low wages, The opportunity wasn't that great, that you didn't try hard enough, or it wasn't their fault that you over here where you are. But the hard truth is, because two people can live in the same country and have experienced a completely different thing. I think when I was going to school, get my master's, and y'all I told y'all this story about me taking this class, and it was called microaggressions. And I was the only black woman in the class, and then there was a black male. And every time something would come up, right, they would ask. I was like, here, I don't represent every black woman in America, so don't ask me. I can only tell you my version. And then, of course, then the young man said the same thing. No, we don't speak for all. That's not what we're doing. We're just two people that happen to be in this class, and we're just happen to be black, right? That was a time when teacher, of course, professor, she went to school in oh God, what she was, University of I can't think of where it was. Anyway, it was a very diverse school. And so she said she didn't realize that she was privileged until she went to the school. And then, of course, we learned about privilege, and then, of course, the people that was in the classroom didn't want to. Now, it wasn't everybody in the classroom was either black or white. It was, I think we had an Indian lady. She was Indian. A couple of Hispanics. So it wasn't 100%. Wasn't one or the other. That's my point. Um, but there was a young man that got kicked out of class because he he just like that I do not have he just argued over everything. He just said black people, these were his words, black people feel entitled. We're supposed to feel like we owe them something. And every time we would have, this discussion, he would just continue to want to go down that rabbit hole of, we don't owe you nothing. We don't owe you nothing. And no, I don't have privilege. I do what I've been made it to where I am because I pulled up my bootstraps, and I'm here getting an education just like, you are. So no, I don't have privilege. And so I went back to in the interview process, and I asked a question. I said, well, did they ask you about homosexuality when in your interview? And he was like, no, why would they? I said, well, did they ask you about how would you counsel a black man or a black woman? And he's like, no, why would they? I say, hence your privilege. He's like, well, did they ask you that? And I was like, yeah, they asked me how would I handle a situation between a transgender person who came to me for counseling. And he's like, well, they didn't ask me that. I was like, well, probably because your privilege already told them the answer from maybe another question. But you're here now, so let's have the conversation. But anyway, he eventually got kicked out because he said something that was very, very, very um, wrong. He went there, and it bothered everybody else, but it didn't bother me because at the end of the day, I was raised in Alabama. I'm used to hearing it all. So what he said, it was factual in his life. It just wasn't a fact of me, who I was. Right. Okay. So let's get back over here to the other America. Okay. Just because two people live in the same country doesn't mean that they're gonna experience. That was my point. Me and the young man experienced this in our this year of class time. I was so glad when that class was over with. I didn't know what to do. But microaggressions, I realized, are real. And I really, really, really had let people just slide because that's just the norm. That's just what they say. Right? But it's microaggressions. They're rude. They're not correct. They shouldn't be able to ask me to move out of my seat, all the things. I just like, wow. So one person sees opportunity, and another person kind of maybe sees, well, not kind of maybe, they see a closed door. One person sees safety, and another person sees suspicion. That's me and Mr. McCall. When we go somewhere, I'm looking, I see suspicion. He's just sitting there, he's just happy as a pig in slop. I'm just like, mm. One person sees a system that helped them, another person sees a systems that ignored them. One person says, this country gave me a chance. Another person might say, this country made me fight for every chance I got. Right? Do you see where we at? The other American. The other America. Okay. There, and here is where we have to kind of become mature enough to listen. Because if someone tells you this has not been their experience, the first mature response is not always to argue. That's why I don't argue with folks. I just listen. Okay. I'd be like, it's the counsel in me, but like, tell me more. Like, what happened? What have you seen? What have you carried? Where have you been? What shaped your way? Tell me. But that does not mean that I agree with every conclusion, right? Because my microaggressions are high, real high. I stopped listening to some channels because my microaggressions just like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do that, right? Not because I don't want to argue or whatever. It just means that I can't say something that I want to say without somebody kind of saying, me too. And we're not talking about you. We're talking about me, right? So in the speech, King was trying to get people to see that the America they celebrated was not the America everyone was living. I think this is a better conversation to kind of dance into and come on and be like, okay, where the billionaires, because if you're over and checking out Call, you already know where I'm going, how I'm going with this, right? Because I had to have, I can't come straight out my mouth and say some of the things I want because my husband just happened to be part of the military of the United States of America, and I'm trying to keep my money. And is because I like my art supplies. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So the people that know you know what you know, you know what you know. But today, this is still true today. This is one America where people have savings, stable homes, healthcare, transportation, family, access to good schools, um, they're talking about food deserts now, and I'm just like, the world used to be a damn gum food desert. What are we talking about? What? Okay. And people who can open doors for them. And then there is another America where people are working two jobs and still cannot breathe, don't have health care, don't have their kids go to schools that have teachers that work there that just went to school to get a degree and they're just sitting up in the classroom just hanging on till summer and can't wait till summer, and they're over there on TikTok just like, yep, got these kids, glad they're gone, or whatever. Not everybody on TikTok, but some of them. If you don't want to teach the daggum children, just go find another job. It's just like what I say about when I go to somewhere in, what's that? Go to a restaurant or something and you get bad service. I'd be like, you're not having a good day? Once I go down, are you okay? And you're not having a good day. It's just like, oh, this job sucks. And I'd be like, well, did you not, go to school, or do you want to do something else? Do you want to be your own boss? Be like, no, I don't want to do none of that. Just want to get off this job and go home and sit on the porch and smoke. Oh, that's it? Oh, okay. Got it. I leave the tip based on the answer. Because I'm gonna walk people out. I'm not gonna just not give you a tip. Most of the people, you start out with a $10 tip with me. Depends on what kind of service you give me. By the time it's over with, you might be down to a dollar. Not me. I didn't give you a dollar tip. You earn. That's just me. Start with 10. And God knows if you give me some great outstanding service, it can go up. Because I know that people are trying to breathe. There's another America where a child's zip code can shape the quality of their education. Now, I'm going to pause right there on that one because I've had a child. I'm the mother of 7 children. And I had a child that got entered into the system very early in his life. The system he ended up in, that he started off in, was exceptional handicap student. Very, very bright, very, very, very bright, very, very bright. He was in kindergarten, gave him a test. His testing ended up putting him on a fourth grade level. Well, we couldn't put him in fourth grade. It just wasn't going to work. But we had to challenge him. Then I had his father who wanted to be an a-hole and didn't want to spend $220 in child support. He came and got said child, would cause all kind of ruckus and dismay and all the things in the child's life. And then the child will go, well, I want to go with my dad. I want to go with my dad. Because dad lied to him, gave him a whole bunch of bs.com, and he just thought the world revolved around it. Okay, no problem. I did once upon a time too, but I wasn't crazy no more. So, we woke up from that nightmare. All right. So I couldn't really do very much at the time because I was trying to breathe and still take care of other children. All right. So when he got this child, then the child said, "Well, I want to stay with my dad." And I'm just like, "Well, okay, I'm not a mom trying to keep the child from the dad." But the child got in trouble. A teacher grabbed him by his arm. Okay. And he jerked away. When he jerked away, his hand hit her. Instead of her handling the situation like an adult, she in turn calls the resource officer and said that the child hit her. So now we got this whole thing going on. And now my son is facing charges. Did I not say he was in the first grade? Okay, facing charges because the teacher said that he hit her. Now, this was in Pensacola. I am at this point living in Jacksonville, Florida. So it's just like, okay, well, I told the dad, it's like, hey, don't put him in streamlined classes because he already has an IEP. Well, the dad, because he was ignorant and didn't understand what I was saying, let the lady talk him, tell him this is he has IEP, then he needs to be over here. If you don't know, there's two sides to this, right? He was on the exceptional handicap for for smart. His track was smart. Then there's the IEP for the kids that are over here that are slow and doesn't have, they need more help or whatever. Well, either way, the child ended up having to go through a whole lot. So when I say what I say about the other America by the child's zip code can shape their quality. My son was given, and then when you get them that young, they decide how many prisons need to be built based on a child's zip code, right? That's in the other America. And another America where people are one emergency away from financial collapse, meaning if I would have tried to go there and fight for him, be his voice, then I was going to either be homeless or, get put out because I needed to work. Okay. So the other America, the woman who has to work, she has to choose between going to work or going over there fighting. So trying to have these conversations. Now, this child was young. He was very young. And because he believed that his dad, the world revolved around him, one day we're gonna have a conversation, and this child will be, he's very excited to have a conversation with y'all because he asked me, "Do I talk about?" And I said, "No, I hadn't been because that's not my story. That's your story." He's like, "No, prime them up, because they need to know. Fight for your kid no matter what." Just because the teacher says that the kid said or did something, go to school, fight for the kid. The kid doesn't always do what the teacher said. Some of these teachers are just not cool. They had a fight with their man or their girl, and then they come to school and then they take it out on your child or another child. I mean, it's just not all that it's cracked up to be. Okay. So thankfully, I got my son back after, of course, he had to go, and that incident made him have to go and into um whatever they called it. They call it some transitional. He needs to go so he can learn the authority because he didn't know whatever, whatever, whatever. And I was just like, okay, that's what we're doing. All right. So then later on, got a lawyer, did all the things, and so he got some charges dropped. So he wasn't charged with whatever. Now we're talking about a kid in the first grade, y'all. Talking about a kid in the first grade. And so I felt bad for my son. He's like, that's not for you to feel bad, because I had, like, later on in life, we had conversation. He told me how he learned more bad by that experience in his life than he ever would have learned if he hadn't gone through that. And then of course, as a parent, that just broke my heart, made my heart, um, but the good thing is he knows that, his dad wasn't right and didn't have his best interest at heart. His dad just didn't want to spend $286 for child support. Sad, but that's all it came down to. Okay. So let's get back on it. That's my little side thing. But there is another America where people are talented but never get access to rooms where their talent can be seen. That's why I think right now social media, YouTube, um, what do you call it? YouTube, TikTok, all those things, people are becoming overnight people. Like you're learning about all these people because now you don't have to have people opening doors for you. Like you ain't got to go on the Oprah show. You get on YouTube or you get on TikTok and you get a good one and it gets gone. Like Mariah was talking this morning about Izzy saying, well, some people do it faster. Yeah, some people get on there and some people really have something. They cut somebody out or they saying something or doing something. And yeah, they do. They get a lot. Like McCoy Roddy's over on TikTok. It went viral when Lily Rose had puppies. So it's just like, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm a lot of people watching right now, right? There's another America where people are told to dream big while living in survival mode. You're trying to make a choice of whether you want to go to the grocery store or do you spend all your money at the grocery store feeding yourself or do you go save a little bit of money for gas? Like how you going to get to work? You're now juggling life. Another America. That's another America's life. The other America, they don't have those issues, right? And if we do not listen, we'll start judging them. We do. If we don't listen, we will assume laziness where there is exhaustion. We will assume irresponsibility where there is just lack of access. Like some this is always my thing. It's like do everybody not have health care? That was me judgy. It's just like no, everybody doesn't. It's like, well, didn't Obama have it where it's got Obamacare? So then somebody said something went in a chat. I remember where we was. I think it was on call Saturday. Somebody said something in the chat, and I was just like, And I was just watching. I was just, wait a minute, because I removed myself from some conversations or some things in the world because it doesn't impact me, right? It's not my fight. I want to pick a lane. There are 3 lanes on my highway. And I can only navigate those 3 lanes. I don't want to squirrel my life trying to have a platform every time something pisses me off. I would never sit my little happy behind down. I would be rebelling all the time. Because after everything that happened with my son, my rebellion, I would still be over here kicking and screaming. But I sat down. I decided what mattered. Where do I need to go? And mine honed in more on the joy, renewing what life has taken from me because I'm still here. My child is not here, nor can I fight his battle. I could stand up all day long and say that it was an injustice that took place. Then I'd have to have all the proof and all the things. The other America don't have to have that. The other America get to say, well, you did what you did. Now you got to suffer the consequences, and it's okay that you got to go to jail for 35 years for that. Oh, it's okay that you just go to jail for 10 years for killing him. It's okay. The other America, there is a standard. And I don't care who says what. Nobody can change my mind because this is my life. I've lived this life. I know what it looks like. I fought the good fight. So now I choose where I'm going to give too much of my energy. And right now, the other America needs to be resurrected. We need to pull it back out. So the algorithms of YouTube need to have it up there. The other America. Because there are a lot of people that are in the world today that happen to have our life in their hands. They're in danger of superiority. Sometimes people get a little knowledge. They can become dangerous. Sometimes when people start healing, they become impatient with everyone who is still wounded. That's why I had to sit and resolve my own emotional struggle before I go and tell people, well, you can be healed. You can. Before I could tell another mother, you one day it'll feel better, but not today. But I had to walk that out myself. Sometimes when people change their habits, they become harsh towards people still battling old patterns. That's what we call superiority, right? So when you really look at it, the other America, we get to live it out on the internet night right now. We don't have to worry about like can't nobody be like, oh, we don't want to talk about that. Nope, nope, this is my channel and that's what I'm gonna talk about. Right? Because it's a real thing. And Martin Luther King said it first in 19 again, I know it was before I was born. So it was Stanford. Go check it out, The Other America. But it relates now for where we are now because it's economic inclusion, right? But the heart of the speech was absolutely in The Other America. It was talking about the poverty and everything we're going through, the unequal opportunities, the discrimination. Right now, we got these things where people are being targeted because who they are. You got to walk around with these good IDs and all of these things. You know what I'm saying? So there are two Americas. One America with access to all the opportunities, the comfort and the education and security, and another a living America living with poverty, poor housing, inadequate schools. Two Americas, right? Now you can really take it and put you can put it over here because it's just like I was listening to Don Lemon and Brian Allen talk, and Brian Allen had a conversation with Coretta Scott King. I can't remember the guy's name. I have to go back. I don't think I wrote it on my notes. Nope, nope, I didn't. Ah, but anyway, he was. I'm going to put the link to the video, to the live. I mean, to the interview in my chat. I mean, in the description box after the live, because it's a good foundational conversation to have. But when you think about the economic inclusion connection, is strongest where Dr. King said something to the effect, "Other America is burdened by an economic problem." Um, and when I pulled up the transcript, it closely related the version of The Other America. Probably most critical problem in The Other America is the economic problem. And King was talking about poor people needed to be made visible, not ignored. And we know now, I've always said it's not about what color you are, it's about the green, the money, the economic. If you are lower than whatever the line they put, then you're the other America. We can't not say that it's not. And when you take other things like social media has taken this thing, what has happened to one thing, what happens over here? Let me get this together. All right, what happened over here without giving credence to what happened? If you're on social media, you know what happened to this case and that case, and what happens to this person and that person. And then you go on this side and you look at the same situation happen, but the colors are different. It's brown people, black people, and then when they go to trial or whatever, the courts are not for them, but the other America, right? You got America over here and America over here. You got rich America and you got poor America. However you want to distinguish it and however you want to make it, it's an economic problem. When you have money, you go and hire the best lawyers to get you out of trouble that you know you did. You got lawyers to keep you from showing that you don't pay your taxes, right? It's about the money. So when you look at it in plain language, King was saying civil rights could not stop at being allowed into a restaurant, being on a school bus, or voting. People also needed access to jobs, decent wages, houses. They needed to be able to be educated correctly. They needed to be able to have their dignity. They need to be able to stand up for themselves and have the ability to participate fully in this American life, the Constitution, this American dream. But no, you brought these people for over here to build this one America so that you can keep stepping on those two Americas. One America to access to opportunity and comfort. In the other America, we're just here to clean your boots and lick your boots and take out the slop jaw. That's not the case anymore. We're fighting back as a people wherever we fall. So when you think about, when you go back and look at the speech, and I want y'all to do your due diligence, because these are my opinions. I want you to get your own so we can have a conversation. Maybe Wednesday we can talk about it. Or you can send me an email. Because this is, if you don't agree, it's okay. I don't care. But he also connected this broader economic justice vision to anti-poverty policy. In his later work, King supported the idea of a guaranteed income as a direct way to address poverty, arguing the piecemeal programs were not enough. Like, yeah, you want to give people a little bit. The King Institute's material on where do we go from here discusses his view that eliminating poverty would affect housing and education, and that cash would give poor people more power in their struggle against discrimination. Lord knows we do not want to give them no power. We need them to stay subservient to Massa. Massa needs to always have the power. He needs to always be in the biggest house, drive the nicest cars, live in the greatest neighborhood. There is no way that nobody else should be higher than he should be. So the clean answer is yes, King Stanford's speech was deeply about economic inclusion, even though he used language of poverty, the other America, jobs, the housing. His message was that America could not claim true democracy while millions of people were excluded from opportunity and prosperity. I'm just saying, the other America goes so much deeper than the speech. It moves beyond the simplified version. This is not just the I have a dream speech. And the other thing that Coretta Scott King said, they didn't kill her Martin because of the I have a dream speech. They killed Martin Luther King Jr. because the other America. He could dare not. But the problem became when white people start listening, white people joined along. There was not just white and black. It was now white people and black people were saying this is wrong. So now they had to kill the man who had the mouthpiece to say, "Wait a minute, white people listening to him too? Oh no, we got to pause this. We got to pause this." Now, sad to say, we have and still have in America, your own kind will sell you out. I have a son who is no longer with me because his own kind not only tried to sell him out, but executed him because he chose to take a stand for what was right. My family's been standing up for what's right long time. When I told you about when I did this right here, my family stood up about this. This is wrong. You're killing people. You're going to kill people. The question is how many people died when the dam was open and they didn't even say that the dam is going to be open so that the water can come through. The heart of America? Like, come on, man. What are we going to do? You can't say you love somebody and you sitting up watching them sleep on the street and then saying they should have made a better choice or they should have did better. Now, granted, some people that are living on the street, that's their choice. They want to live on the street. Some people, I'm not talking about all people. I'm talking about the mother that lives in the car because she lost her job because she wouldn't sleep with the boss. I'm talking about those kind of people. Because the other America says, you're supposed to do whatever I tell you to do because I hold the power. I hold your job. I can go and hang you up. It's a different type of lynching. Now I'm going to let that go a little bit because I can feel that my grace, my peace, and my love is just not there no more. And I want to walk in grace, peace, and love and joy. You know, because even when I can't, I want to make sure that the grace helps me. I give myself grace so that it can help me walk through every dark day so that I can have a bright day. Right? I want to be able to keep my joy flowing so that no matter what is going on in my life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whether I got money to pay the light bill or whether I have to sit in the dark with the candles, been there, done that. I'm still going to have joy flowing no matter what happens. I'm worthy to have it all. Not just because I'm a Black woman living in America that choose to separate me and put me over here and try to control me and get upset because I had to stand up and say, no, not today. My emotional intelligence is just too much. I'm not going to argue with you. What I will do is I will get out and vote. I will have use my platform to talk about what needs to be talked to and then tell my people, be like, y'all, give yourself grace during these times because it's rough out here. There are two realities living side by side, and pretending otherwise is dishonest. It is not cool. The Other America is one of Dr. Martin Luther King's most important speeches because it moves beyond the simplified version of his quote. King was telling America, there's two realities. There's two. That's just it. There's not a four or five. There's two. And right now, it's either you got the money or you don't. And if you don't, you got to figure out where you fall. Because when I said when the man got elected, I said this is well no, when the man came back to say that he was running again, I said, oh, this is about money. Who has it and who don't? So that's why me over here was like I tell Mr. McCoy, I need more land. Because if I got more land, I will be able to help people. If I God said, teach the people how to fish, and you'll never go hungry. Teach them how to farm. The farmers right now, they're teaching people how to farm because right now that's might be all we have. We're not looking for caviar. We're not looking for the best wine. We want wine, but we're not looking for the best wine. We just want to have an opportunity, just like the other America. So the other America, remember. Oh yeah, the have and the have nots. That's a good way to look at it. The have and the have nots. All right. Julie Parker, don't feel sad because I kind of feel where you are, and a part of me um, is where I am in my life right now. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. But I also was not going to downplay my blessedness by saying I should be less than. Mr. McCoy works hard. I worked hard. I still continue to work hard. I sold 2 journals and I was happy about I was like, I'm out here living a life full. My life is full of peace right now, joy and love, and I give myself grace. I was out there in the rat race, going out there making all of the money, but I wasn't happy. Right? So the people that are out there making all the money and doing all the things, if that's what they feel like they need to do, then let them do it. We're not here to judge. That's why I said this country is full of opportunities. You get to choose how you walk it out. You get to choose. Me, I have a speaking platform. I love to speak. I just don't always feel like well, in the past, I felt like, no, I don't want to hear that. But it's like now people need to hear that it's okay to have or not. You get to choose. But you do also have to understand that sometimes the cards are stacked against you. And then also the thing I really want us to know is the danger of judging from our own comfort. That's where I didn't want to. Because one of the strongest lessons that I gained from the other America is this: people often judge suffering from the side of comfort. That is still true. Someone like I said earlier, you know, if you said anything, if you say this out loud, like I said earlier, if you say they should work harder, or they should just move, or they should make better choices, because growing up I lived in I would say I didn't live in the nice homes. I didn't live in what they call the projects, where the lower income. I lived somewhere in between. I would call it. So a lot of people that were where if they hear gang banging or stuff like that, then they would say something. They would be like, "Well, they should just move, or they should make better choices, right? Or they should just stop complaining if they're not gonna move." That kind of thing. Those are the dangers of judging, because a lot of people want to stay where they are because that's where their root is, and because of the other America, the economic inclusion didn't include them. The area, we know what it is. What is it? They've taken these places and oh Lord, what is it? They've like in New York and California, they've taken, oh my goodness, y'all know what I'm talking about. Where they take a neighborhood and then they build it back up. Gentrification. Thank you, Eddie. That is it. So they took it. They made it to where you couldn't work and pay your taxes and all the things, right? And I'm finna speak out of Chicago from a family that I know this area. This is exactly what happened. They made things where they couldn't, all these places. So now they couldn't pay their taxes. So, they got to sell, or they got to sell at a low price. Now the neighborhood goes bad. It's all the bad stuff. The drugs are in there. It's just infiltrated with all the stuff. Now this place is all messed up. Now gentrification comes along and say, "Oh wait, hold up. Let me go and buy all of this right here." And then you have one or two people that's trying to hold on. And you usually can tell those one or two people in the neighborhood. In Jacksonville right now, there's people helping people still stay in the spot because they don't want to move, right? Okay. But that's what I'm saying. So the other America, they're gonna make ways to keep their money flowing. I just want you to understand that I don't want you to be the one that's judging the ones that are actually suffering. That's all I'm talking about, right? I've seen, and I will say, I can tell you I've seen it, and because it didn't directly affect me, I was just like, "Huh, I wonder why they let that happen." Judging. I was judging. And then I was just like, "Huh, I wonder what it took take to just kept the house." Judging. So I'm telling y'all this because I don't want you to be on the side of judging if you're on the side of comfort. If you happen to be if you're the other America, because right now the other America is not talking about black and white. Remember what I said. Martin Luther King spoke something into existence. That was then, and they put it to where it was in that time in life then. But right now, it's all about the mighty dollar. I looked at listening to um Byron Allen. Byron Allen owns, ooh, like I think it's like 20 something networks or whatever. I didn't even realize that. I knew he owned some stuff and I knew he had bought some stuff, but Byron Allen said he stopped talking about, it wasn't about business. It wasn't a business show. No, it wasn't about show business. It was about business show. If you teach a person how to fish, he'll eat forever because he'll know how to go fishing. But if you don't teach him anything, he's always going to rely on somebody else. Yes, girl, yes, he does. And on the Weather Channel was like, shut up. So the other America, and yes, there are two Americas. But now we're talking about, they want to talk about economic inclusion. So when you hear economic inclusion, I want that to perk your ears up. Okay. I want your ears to get a little perky and be like, wait a minute, what y'all getting ready to talk about? Because they're gonna be basically saying the rich and the poor. That's what they're saying. The other American. They over here talking about, well, you need to, we're gonna give you a little nibble. Okay, they're talking about they need health care. Okay, all right, let's take care of the people. What stipulations? Do you know how thick a bill is? Like, do you know, like, when it starts, all the things, one little sentence can throw the whole thing off. Y'all know the bill, Capitol Hill. It was more than a cartoon for me. Do you know how many hands have to wash somebody's backside to maybe get that one part of the bill to moving forward? Do you know? It's a lot. It's a lot. So I don't want to have to wash nobody's backside. I will definitely pay somebody to do all the things. But what I do want is not to judge people from my place of comfort. And yesterday I looked at some things when I was getting my two toolboxes, and I was like, dang, this is why I was beating myself up. It's just like, damn, there's people that's out here that got real life issues. And then I said, this is your life. You've worked for it. You've saved. You have it. You're working currently. You have the money. You worked for it. So get it, put it in your studio, and continue working and continue doing the job. Continue speaking out for when things need to be said. If it's your platform to say it, say it. If it's not, then support. That's why I support call. But I don't want to go down fighting for something that it's not for me to fight for. I take a pause and I ask, what America has this person been living in? And then that's when I told y'all I went and talked to, I have conversations with my grandmothers because they've lived in a different life. The America that they've lived in is not the America that I'm living in, right? My mom's mom, she lived in New York. She left the South. She was over it. She was tired of people looking at her. First of all, they was looking at her trying to figure out if she was black or white because my grandma could literally pass for being white back in the day. As a matter of fact, there's a picture of my grandma. So she could have passed. So and she just got tired of it, so she moved. And she didn't have those problems. But when she came back here, it wasn't those problems were still here, so they wasn't here. Because she's been back here right about 20 years now. After her husband got sick, she moved back here. So yeah. All right, what do you say? And it is the ultra wealthy that is the rich and how they then try to get all of us the devices now. That isn't really the cause of their issues. It is the ultra. Yeah, I agree and disagree. And when I say that, I know that there are a lot of people that we know that have money, um, and they're the ones that they're the other America. And unfortunately, I feel like once somebody gets some dirt on you, you have to then take a side. And if it's not the right side, that's why I told y'all I don't care what you know. If somebody say something, I'll be like, yep, I'ma own it. Like my daughter said, "Oop, you're a bad mom, you're a bad mom, you wasn't there, you wasn't, yep, okay, yep, you got it right, right, right." So, and that's why I really wanted to say that there are two Americas, because those that have the money and those that do not have the money. Now, I want to know this, and I'm going to go down the rabbit hole and do some more research and things. Where's the line? Like, where's the line to, um, what's what? Because I'm not gonna say I don't want to be a millionaire. I'm not gonna put that out there. I want whatever the Lord has for me. And I'm not go. I probably could get $1 billion right now, and I probably wouldn't do what somebody would probably think I should do with my money. Because y'all already know, I told you if I got $1 million, if I was going, we going to Italy, we going to buy the villa. That was just it. Somebody else maybe think I maybe need to do something for somebody else. And then this is where my judgment comes in. And I'd be like, well, maybe they should work harder. Or maybe they should make better choices. That's why I had to come back and be like, okay, there's a thin line there, girl. You're kinda treading. So I had to realize, okay, I need to know where this line is for this other America, because it kind of challenges us to look beyond our own experiences, right? It asks us kind of to admit that just because life has worked one way, for me, that doesn't mean it has worked that way for everybody, right? And so therefore, I don't want to sit over here on my 10 and a half acres and be like, oh, they should have made better choices. Oh, they should have just, did better. They need to stop complaining. I don't want to do that. Because the same way God blessed me with it, the same way he can take it out and be like, okay, well, let's see about this choice right here. So I look at it from both sides. At the same time, I'm giving myself grace too. Because if I got too big for my own britches, this is the thing. I feel like if I had a billions and billions of dollars and I start doing all the things for people, I feel like those people that are in higher power or whatever, they'll go down the rabbit hole. They'll pull up my son's information. They'll pull up my other son's information. They probably pull up some of my infidelities. They probably try to drag me through the mud. But I got billions and billions of dollars. So it'd be like, oh, I don't care. And what? Let me get on this platform and tell y'all, yep, did that. Yep, did that. So then you take the power away. But some people are embarrassed about some of the things they did. I've written 2 books. I mean, it's just like, what? What else? Some people don't want you to know what they've done in the dark. My grandma always say, what you done, do what you do in the dark will eventually come to the marvelous light. So you might want to tell your own skeletons before somebody else tell your business. So I'd be like, well, that was one of the things I had to do when I started doing this YouTube thing. It's like, well, God, you want me to be transparent? What you want me to talk about? Just like whatever comes up, if somebody asks, you just need to know. Being a parent isn't easy. Being a parent for a daughter, the child that committed suicide was not easy to live through. So all the things. And what? That's why I just said kidding. What you kidding? I don't about that. But I'm digging. Wait, who? Hunter. Hunter for POTUS. LOL. Just kidding. Who is Hunter? I gotta go. Hey, that's like Hunter. Oh, saying it is freeing that it is all out there. Yeah, it takes a lot of power from people. There goes the rain. I mean, just think about it. Just think about it. Just think about it. If somebody had some serious dirt on you, and then they hope they want what they want, and you can make it happen, but that's what I feel now with a lot of people that are not taking a stance. I feel like um, they rather not make a choice. And not making a choice is just like making a choice. But they get to say, well, I didn't do it. I didn't say it, you know. And then, especially some of this stuff is just like people judging other people. I'm just like, I ain't judging none of y'all. Sin is sin and it all stinks in a nostril. So I don't got no heaven or hell to put none of y'all in. And some of y'all, I don't care. If you had fun, then oh well. But now you got to pay the piper, especially if you're out here doing something you ain't got no business. I'm just saying. And hit me with a you screwed around on your husband kind of thing. That wasn't gonna scare me back in the day. It'd be like, oh yeah, my bad. Did that. Sure did. Mm-hmm. Next. Who else got something? Oh, had a child out of wedlock. Yep, had two. Next. What else? Oh, my bad. Maybe I think I had three. Next. What else? You're on your second marriage. Yep, and is. What else? But why you judging and measuring me? I want to pay attention to your own stuff. That's why I tell people get that broom and clean your front door. Get that Windex and clean your window. Clean your mirror so you can see yourself and stop worrying about other people. There's this song. It says, "Sweep around your own front door. Take 6 months to mind, to leave other folks' business alone, and 6 months to mind your own business. And you ain't got no time to mind mine." Like I had somebody tell me, "Well, that happened to you because you didn't pay your tithes." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna have some more bad stuff happening because I'm giving my tithes to the people. Wherever God leads me to give, that's where I give. I'm not pouring out into a church all the time. If He leads me to do it and bless them with whatever they might be doing, great. But do I have to? No. Won't get me with that one no more. So, got our own stuff. We got our own cross to bear. We got our own whatever it is. We got it. We got it. All right. So the bottom line, I want you to know economic inclusion means people should have a fair chance to earn, learn, own, grow, and contribute. People need to have access to their own dignity. It's about access. It's about opportunity. It's about making sure that they're happy in whatever they choose to do. Economic inclusion is not about giving people everything. It's about making sure people are not blocked. Get that? From becoming everything they have the ability to become. That's what it is. That's why it goes back to when it came up. I was just like, wait, that's what Martin King. I'll be like, hold on, wait, okay. Because remember, I went down the rabbit hole of economic inclusion. Therefore, that's when the speech came up. And I was just like, whoa. So do I judge people for struggling without understanding what barriers they are facing? Not no more. I used to. I did. Again, transparency. Very honest. Be talking about what I said or didn't say. And did. So I want us to be very, 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 very open and honest with ourselves. Economic inclusion is not about lowering our standards. It's about removing unfair barriers. That's it. It's not about making us feel bad about ourselves. It's about understanding that talent is everywhere, and the what you call this thing, the internet. You can go viral by clicking live or getting your phone telling about how you feel about something, and next thing you know, you can probably have your own little rant go live or go viral, right? But if people do not have access to the same thing, now I'm not talking about the rich sending their kids to private school. Like if you got your kids go to private school, then okay. I ain't talking about that. But give scholarships maybe to the school. I don't know. I'm just saying, if we want to go to the school, everybody needs to have fairness. Like, where's the line? Give us an understanding of where this line is, where this money is, or whatever. That's all I'm saying. So I hope y'all understood, and I hope it was very informative, because after Saturday's call and then a couple things that went on, it fell down, and I just like, okay, wait a minute, that's the same thing they were talking about. So economic inclusion asks the question: how do we create more doors for people who have historically been standing outside the room? Which is what civil rights did. That's what civil rights did. They didn't even they included black people at the time as property. We wasn't included as people. So that's why when they said these United States of America and whatever that thing, we the people, they'll tell you quick, that doesn't include the word they would call. So when Martin Luther King was talking about two Americas, he was talking about creating more doors for people who have historically been standing outside the room. All right, guys, I'm gonna get off of here because again, one, it starts storming and the lights are flickering. I don't want to lose my internet and y'all be like, what happened? So that way I could leave without the lights being cut off. But reflection question. If y'all have any questions, you want to have a conversation, anything like that, just let me know. But if people do not have the access to education, the capital, and transportation technology, and all this here stuff, the fairness, and you know, entrepreneurship is where it's at. Everybody don't want to be their own boss. So decide, ask yourself the question: what opportunities do you need to have to move forward where you want to go? Everybody don't want to be a millionaire or billionaire. So, you know, decide where you want to be. All right, guys. I'm going to see you guys later. And again, team replay, put in there if you understand, or put in there team replay or something like that. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you've been here all this time, do subscribe to the channel. I didn't give my housewarming, my house, a little spiel, because I had to go and get it out because it was a little hard. I felt like it was going to be a little hard, but I'm not being selfish over here. I want to be self honoring. Okay. And keep going down for those core values. There's the thing right there. Click on it, get it. And I love you guys, and I thank y'all for showing up and letting me be me, letting me be honest, and let me really, really give you my thoughts from my pain point today. All right, I'll see you guys Wednesday. See you later.